She vanished without a trace, in the middle of the sky. No distress call, no crash, just gone. For over 85 years, nobody knew what really happened to Amelia Earhart. Until now. What if I told you the truth was buried on a remote island, guarded by governments and time? It was the morning of July 2, 1937. Above the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean, somewhere between Lae, New Guinea and Howland Island, a tiny metal bird sliced through the clouds. That aircraft, a silver Lockheed Electra, held within it one of the most iconic women in American history. Her name was Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, a symbol of courage, of progress, and impossible dreams. By then, she'd already conquered countless skies, but this was her most ambitious journey yet. A daring attempt to circumnavigate the globe, over 29,000 miles. Nearly done. Only 7,000 more miles to go. And then, silence. Her voice flickered over the radio. Then nothing. Forever. But what really happened in those final hours? Over 8 decades later, Amelia's disappearance is still called one of the greatest mysteries of all time. But what if it was never really a mystery at all? What if clues were deliberately hidden by those who stood to lose the most? What you're about to hear may forever change how you think about her story. Let's go back to that fateful flight. Amelia's co-pilot that day was Fred Noonan, a seasoned navigator with a background in naval aviation. Their plan was simple: fly from Lae, New Guinea to Howland Island, a tiny strip of land barely 2,000 meters wide. They never made it. At 7:42 a.m., Earhart's last known transmission was picked up. "We are on the line 157-337. We are running north and south." Then, complete radio silence. The US government launched the largest ever air and sea search in history at that time. Millions of dollars, aircraft carriers, destroyers, all combing the Pacific. Nothing. No wreckage, no bodies, no clear answers. It didn't make sense, and that's where the mystery begins. Over the decades after her disappearance, the theories piled up like wreckage in a storm. Some believed the Electra ran out of fuel and crashed into the sea, swallowed whole by the Pacific. That's the official story, echoed for decades. But others weren't so sure, because shortly after Amelia's disappearance, eyewitnesses in the Marshall Islands, then under Japanese control, claimed to have seen a strange American aircraft land, and 2 foreigners captured by Japanese forces. And here's where it gets even more bizarre. A photo surfaced, a black and white image from 1937. In it, what appears to be a woman resembling Amelia is sitting on a dock beside a man who greatly resembled Fred Noonan. Now, skeptics dismissed the photo, called it fake, misidentified, but what if they weren't wrong? Because years later, the US government declassified military files suggesting the possibility that Amelia was on a spy mission, not a civilian flight. Wait, Amelia Earhart a spy? It sounds like something out of a movie, but stay with me. But if that's really true, what mission was she on, and why wouldn't she ever return? Here's where the story takes a chilling turn. According to reports uncovered by historian Mike Campbell and former US officials, Amelia may have been working with US intelligence, gathering recon over Japanese military expansion in the Pacific. Remember, this was just 4 years before Pearl Harbor. If Amelia's flight path got too close to military outposts, Japan would have acted. And if she were captured, keeping her alive could be political leverage, or worse, a liability. Numerous locals from the island of Saipan, decades after the war, described a white woman being held in a Japanese prison. They'd never even seen a white woman before, and definitely not one in aviator gear. So if that woman was Amelia, why wasn't she rescued? And where was the proof? In 2017, one forensic discovery shocked everyone. Human bones, recovered in 1940 from Nikomaroro Island, once dismissed as male, were re-examined using updated technology. The results? 99% match to a female of Amelia's height and ancestry. Suddenly, the crash at sea theory wasn't the only game in town. Nikomaroro, also called Garden Island, remote, barely on the map. In recent years, teams from the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, TIGHAR, launched multiple expeditions here, driven by whispers, bones, and a piece of aluminum that looked eerie like part of Amelia's plane. They found 1930s-era women's shoes, fragments of rouge makeup, a compact, mirror, and even parts of aircraft consistent with Lockheed Electra metal. But the most haunting thing, they also found evidence of someone surviving there. Small fires, hand-built shelters, and signs someone tried to signal passing ships that never came. It paints a cruel possibility. Amelia didn't crash and die immediately. She landed safely, survived, and then waited in silence on an island where no help ever arrived. And if that's true, then the tragedy wasn't her disappearance. It was knowing she waited, hoping, alone. One photo shows a rusted aircraft part, almost identical to a hatch from Amelia's plane, buried in coral on Nikomaroro's shore. It had been there for decades, just beneath the surface, as if nature itself was keeping the secret. But what about the spy theory? Could both stories be true at the same time? Think about the timing. Japan and the US were on the brink of war. Spy flights, secret codes, backroom deals, all part of the prelude to global conflict. Now imagine this. If the US set Amelia to gather intel and she was captured by Japan, publicly admitting that wouldn't just risk wartime political collapse. It would mean admitting the US had violated international airspace. The easiest move? Deny everything. Let the public believe it was just a tragic crash. And over time, memories fade. But not everyone forgot. In the 1980s, a former US Marine named Erskine Nabbers gave a recorded testimony. He claimed he personally helped dig up Amelia's plane from the island of Saipan under direct orders. His claim was dismissed by military officials, but his voice, trembling, urgent, still echoes today. We were told never to speak of it again. In 2019, an underwater expedition led by Robert Ballard, the man who discovered the Titanic, scanned the seafloor around Nikomaroro. They searched for that Lockheed Electra with the most advanced gear available. And while they didn't find the fuselage, they found unusual debris patterns not unnatural for coral. Ballard later said, "It's still my belief she's there." So maybe the plane is still beneath the waves, just out of sight, just waiting. So how do we make sense of this? Was Amelia a lost pilot? A prisoner? A survivor? Or a forgotten hero of a secret war? The truth is, it might be all of the above. That's what makes her story so powerful. Because even without a final answer, we remember her not just as a person who vanished, but one who dared to go where others never would. In a world where women weren't supposed to lead, she led. Where danger warned others away, she pushed ahead. And in doing so, she became immortal. Amelia Earhart represents more than a historical mystery. She's a mirror of everything we fear and everything we admire. The unknown, the impossible, the fight for something bigger than ourselves. She dared to dream out loud, to defy gravity, society, and limits. And no matter how long her body stays lost, her legacy never will be. Because in every dreamer, every explorer who won't quit, Amelia still flies. What would you have done if you were stranded, alone, waiting? If this moved you, subscribe for more stories.